Welcome back to Kind Regards, the show. The dating world can be pretty gross. With Tinder and the dating apps and the sort of profiles. Um, this is who I am, which most of the time results in this is what I look like. And you have to write a funny and attractive little bio. Um, and and you get judged in about 10 seconds. I mean, 10 seconds might be a lot. When I see people on Tinder on the bus or whatever, they're usually going fung fung fung. The human beings just out the window, out the window. So you got to be really good or something. You got to keep up appearances to get any kind of match, on these things. And this is kind of the mentality of like appraisal, right? Like, oh, do I want to be with this person? Is this person the kind of person that I like? Is constantly sort of the judging mind. And the mentality of appraisal is imaginary, right? Like when I think like, oh, do I want to be with that person? That's all just in my head. I'm imagining them because I don't really know them at all. I'm on the app. And then I'm also imagining what we'll be like in the future. Are they going to be good at conflict resolution? you know, I wonder if they're good at this and that. It's all imaginary. And then I'm making decisions based on imagination, right? This is kind of the mentality of appraisal that is kind of dominating much of the dating scene, the sort of shallow dating scene. And even though I never really stepped into that world of Tinder and things, that mentality snuck into my life. And I remember when I was single back in the day, um, having talked to someone for what, half an hour or 2 hours, or maybe two sets of 2 hours, so 4 hours total, thinking, oh, I wonder if she's the one. I wonder if we're gonna be together. Which I think is natural, right? I'm not trying to bag on it, but I do kind of want to underscore the absurdity of doing that to a human being, to to setting reality aside and imagining them and imagining a relationship, and imagining us in the future and imagining chemistry between those two imaginary figures and appraising that imagination in order to make decisions in the present, right? That is kind of weird. That's kind of crazy. And if you're here to say, yeah, well, what the hell else are we supposed to do? I'm here to tell you the alternative. And this is a piece of advice that I got from a beautiful woman who is now my wife. But at the time, she wasn't. And at the time, she was my buddy. And she gave me this piece of advice when I said, oh, maybe this person's for me, like maybe this and that. Excuse me. And she said, you don't even know her. Like don't forget, Will, that you don't know the person you're talking about at all, right? How long have you spent with them? 4 hours? You don't know them. You don't know a thing about them. And so don't go in there thinking, oh, are they going to be my partner? Or are they going to, want to go on a date with me? Just go in there thinking, who is this? Getting to know a person is really fun. It's arguably funner than the imaginary dating thing where you're appraising and, oh, will this work? Won't it work? That's high stakes and all this stuff. Like it's intense. Am I going to be lonely forever? I hadn't touched a woman in years, and so oh, am I going to be lonely forever? How about you just get to know someone? How about you just go, oh, I don't know this person and I would like to get to know them, right? Because isn't that the prerequisite for the other stuff anyway? I mean, a real relationship, a real deep and loving relationship, is premised on the fact that we don't know the other person totally. That the other person is still revealing themselves to us and that we're accepting them as they're unfolding, right? We're all changing, everything's changing. But have you ever been in a relationship where someone feels like they put you in a box and they go, like, when you do stuff, they're like so surprised and shocked, and they're like, they can't handle the new you. They can't handle the you that is outside of their imagination, and they're kind of constantly trying to fit you into a thing, you know. Um, that they kind of want you to be. This is not a loving relationship. There's a Tolstoy quote that I'll put on the screen that sort of touches on the same thing. You know, real love is loving a person as they are, not as we want them to be. And what this imaginary life, you know, imaginary me, imaginary them, and putting them together, imaginary chemistry, does to a person is this appraisal mentality is pulling a real infinite human being close to us based on a whole bunch of imaginary stuff, a whole bunch of unreal delusion. Well, maybe not delusion, but illusion. It's not true. It doesn't exist. And that is a real, I mean, I don't want to state it too heavily, but I think it's violent. I think it's like an abusive thing, you know, intentionally or unintentionally, to say, "Oh, come here, I want you so bad," to a person that we don't even know, to a person who is so much deeper and more infinite than we could ever even grasp, you know. Yeah. If we do this, we are bound to be disappointed or forever deluded and unable to see them as they really are, you know, and unable to see the relationship as it really is, which I've been in, and I'm sure you guys have been in too, where you're in a relationship and you keep telling yourself this story about how it's okay and like how it works and how it's going to get better. But it's not really. It's not really getting better, and the thing that's wrong is kind of always wrong, and somewhere in you, you know this, but you can't face it. That is the result of this appraisal mindset. I think. And so what do we do here? We let a person unfold, and we take our foot off the gas of like, I need a girlfriend, I need a romantic partner, I need someone to come on this adventure of life with me. And we take our foot off the gas and we go, you know what? I can't even think about, you know, kissing someone or being romantic with someone until I really know them. And how long does it take to really know a person? 50 hours, 100 hours more? It takes like months and months and months of continual contact and real curiosity and real, like, I don't know who you are. Like, what about this? Like, real inquisitiveness to get to a place where you feel comfortable with who that person has been so far. And you know what I mean? Like, to get to that threshold of real acceptance takes a long time. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's beautiful to to not instrumentalize someone as, oh, maybe they could be my girlfriend, maybe they could fulfill this role for me, maybe they could be an addition to my life, maybe I could use them, right? Which is, I know that we don't explicitly think this, but I think it's kind of inherent in the appraisal mindset. Um, and instead, with this like 100-hour mentality, you know, this I don't know them at all mentality, we actually just get to witness a person, you know, and be curious about a person, which is a loving thing. It's a sweet thing. And when people do it to us, we feel really seen, we feel really witnessed and accepted for who we are. And like, we don't have to fit in a box, and we can be a little bit more free, and we can experiment a little bit more and be a little bit more ourselves, because this person is so willing to see us and be okay with us. We can give this to other people, and I think it's a beautiful foundation for a romantic relationship. And ultimately, that is how it worked with me and my wife. Is that me and my wife were friends for a long time, and really accepting of each other and curious about each other, and we had difficult conversations, and we we just grew closer and closer as people, primarily because she kept rebuffing my advances. You know, twice I kind of said like, oh, I think you're really nice, and I want to have a romantic thing with you. That would be nice for me. And she said, no, I just want a good relationship with people in my lives, and if you want to be my friend and have a nice relationship with me, then we can do that. And I went, I do want that. That if that's the way that I know my this person, then yeah, let's know them like that. And I think it's been a great foundation for my wife and I, and I think it's a nice foundation for all of us in our sort of romantic relationship. Yeah, I think it's great for our romantic relationships because it takes the pressure off. We don't have to imagine this and that. Oh, are they? Aren't they? Oh, will that be useful later? Instead, we just get to witness, get to set ourselves aside, just see people, just have fun, just have a good time, get to know people. So much chiller and so many less like questions to answer and stuff. Um, so that's really nice. And it's also a beautiful gift, as I touched on. It's a beautiful gift to give someone loving attention. It's beautiful to receive that. And it's also lovely, especially for the dudes out there, it's lovely to not objectify and instrumentalize, women, it's all too common that we want to get to know women until the woman says, I don't want to date right now, or I have a boyfriend. And then the men just disappear. And I smile because it's so typical, but it's a sad thing, right? That so few of us are willing to know women as friends and know them as people, as opposed to know them as a romantic partner only. And it's a lovely thing to give this to a person to say, I want to get to know you before I even question what role you're going to play in my life. You're just going to be a person in my life that I'm going to get to know, because that's a beautiful journey in and of itself. But I think you guys get the point, and hopefully this has been like a nice sort of switch of perspective that you can use, and yeah, and hopefully it can kind of break the mentality of, oh, maybe, that obviously like Tinder and all the dating apps and the pleasure industries, they want us in this mentality. They want us in like more, gimme, gimme, gimme. Oh, there's a better person around the corner, so I'm going to dump this person. I'm going to stay in the dating game. No commitment, no, depth, just shallow, shallow, shallow everything. That's what Tinder loves. And that's what consumerism loves. And if we don't break from this mentality, then it's going to control us. It's going to seep into our attitudes, whether we intentionally wanted to or not. Does that make sense? And it did for me, even though I was never on the apps. It did for a lot of people that I know, even though they were never on the apps or never participated in society in this way. The assumptions seep in, and so yeah, let's take our hands off the wheel a little bit. If you're a single person, just get to know some people. Just get to know people. Accept that loneliness is not only relieved by romantic relationships. Loneliness is relieved by connection and love, and that can happen in friendships. It can happen in all kinds of relationships, and there's a way of getting that, and that's by providing others with loving attention and potentially receiving it in return. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Yeah, I hope this has been useful and not too preachy, power to the people, whatever works for you works for you. And if this sucks, go watch something else, dude. And enjoy something that resonates with you more than this. There's a Substack link below where I write articles about similar kind of stuff. So if you like that kind of thing, go check it out. They're a little bit more polished and funny. hopefully, hopefully funnier than these are. Sometimes these aren't that funny, but and there's also a YouTube and a Spotify link, so you can get the content how you like it. But it's great to have you with us. I hope this was useful. Bon voyage. Have a great day. Thanks.